Of all the arguments people are supposed to understand, of all the articulations they could compose when they take a stand, the one that most people can't seem to get a handle of, and each person clearly seems to really need someone to teach them, is freedom of speech. And I believe the reason this seasoned precept is misused so often in arguments is that freedom of speech is not an argument. It's not making a case that what you're saying is okay. It is merely a statement of your right to say it. Think of it this way. Freedom of speech is your right to offend. And if the means are justified by the end, fine. Sometimes there's a greater good that's worth the people who stand in its way getting hurt. For that reason, I believe that a breach of our right to freedom of speech outweighs most other rights and deserves the outrage that seems to occur as a result. Freedom of speech and freedom of expression have played a part in every lesson we've learned as a society, every step taken in the name of progression. I don't for a second want to lessen the necessity of respecting expression over pleasantry or empathy. For black people to stop being slaves, someone had to be allowed to say, we need to change and treat people properly, that people are people and shouldn't be property. For women to be given the vote, someone had to be allowed to say, don't make women pay tax when no one's listening. Stop treating women like second-class citizens. The fact is, today, these statements won't turn any heads because for the most part, their opponents are dead. But any time it was first said that we should be treating any minority people not as inferior but as equal, you can bet some people were really upset. Today, we can be barely apprehensive sharing ideas that once were incredibly offensive. That change, all change, inevitably relies on a minority with foresight trying to tell the rest of us things aren't right. But before you go claiming to be a champion of the people, waving your banner against oppression, exercising your freedom of speech, flexing your freedom of expression, maybe instead you should rein in your head and ask yourself if what you're saying needs to be said. Why is it worth the people you hurt getting upset? If you can't answer that, you need to understand you're just hurting people because you can. And that doesn't make you a man of candor, fighting the good fight, defending our rights, responding to injustice with rancor. It just makes you a bit of a wanker. Maybe what you're saying really does matter. Maybe your patter will be the catalyst we need for change, and those who oppose you shouldn't complain because what you're saying is plain fact. Now, I'm no stranger to religious apologists using the obvious "I'm offended" excuse after a somewhat unimpressive overture, when they've all but run out of facts and evidence and the offended defence is all they've got left to throw at you. In the words of Stephen Fry, being offended isn't an argument. It's no more than a whine. But along that same line that says being offended isn't a defence, neither is your right to cause an offence. Having the right to say what you're saying isn't the same as being right in the case you're portraying. Regardless of their objection to your apparent lack of tact, you still have to back up your argument with facts. Otherwise, what you're admitting is that the best thing you can say about the opinion you hold, of which you're so proud, is that it's not literally illegal to say it out loud. And if the strongest argument for your opinion is that technically the law permits it, you may have to consider admitting that it's a shit thing to say. But I'll still stand by your freedom of speech, and here's why. It's not for your benefit, it's for mine. I'll sit through your anger and venom and hate and be glad we live in a state where you can say this stuff face to face, because nothing you say to hurt me or others worries me as much as the thought of not knowing your true colours. Freedom of speech means putting up with your view so I can know that my friends are nothing like you. It's an obligation to put up with hatred and lies as well as uncomfortable truths and call out those who use it as an excuse. Because a better tomorrow means letting someone say that most of us are getting it wrong today.